What is going on, Debt Free Mafia? Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. Today, I wanted to talk about how my wife and I paid off $65,000 of debt in a little over 2 years. I wanted to kind of touch on some things that we did to achieve that and how you can do something similar to achieve that. So we used something called a zero-based budget. We did a lot of determinations. We went through Financial Peace University. And we made sure that we had a goal date in mind to be debt free. These are all tools that we used, and I kind of wanted to walk you guys through how we did it. So originally, what we had racked up most of our debts was basically just two different things. So I went to a public school, and I had to take out loans for I think it was like room and board, and then like a few other like small things here and there, books. Fortunately, I had a full ride on the tuition front, so I didn't have to pay for tuition and then the rest of it was all family loans that we had borrowed to start a business, which I don't advise right at all. So we can talk about it a little bit. So what was it for us that made that first big change where we were like, hey, we have got to be debt free, we can't do this anymore, something needs to change? And I would argue, as a financial coach myself, we call that the why. Why is it that you want to change? Why is it that you want this thing to be different? That's usually something that I sit down with my clients and we dig real deep to figure that out, because some people don't really fully grasp why they want to be debt free, believe it or not. And so it's real important to know, hey, why are we doing this? Because if you have a why, it's a lot easier to help navigate your finances to the direction that you want them to go. So we had a why. Our why was the just absolute amount of pressure that we had on us when we had gone to start that business. It was actually, we started a franchise. It was called a Tea2Go. It was basically, it was like a Starbucks but for loose leaf tea. So boy, it was a rough go. And basically we had gone up to start a business and everything went wrong. Like, it didn't matter how much planning we did, didn't matter how well we did. It was going to go wrong no matter what, basically, because they were going through a bunch of changes, part of a reality TV show. It was a mess. So we ended up being technically $1.2 million in debt because we had signed into a lease agreement for a commercial rental space to put the store in, right? That lease was, we got sued for it because we weren't able to make our payments, because we weren't able to start the business, yada, yada, yada. Essentially, we had to end up filing bankruptcy to get out of that. So that was a very difficult time, and the amount of stress that we had and the amount of anxiety that we had, I mean, I lost 15 pounds. I was pale. I would just come home and I would literally just cry because I just didn't know what to do. As a man, I feel like I'm the provider, and I put my family in this bad spot. So, and my wife, she got it on both fronts. She was stressed about this stuff, and she was stressed about me because I was sick over it. And we just decided that's not something we're gonna do. We took, if you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, we took his Financial Peace University, where we were introduced into financial freedom, and that's where we built the Debt Free Mafia around. So we had this big why. We didn't want that anxiety anymore. We didn't want that ball and chain of debt to be crushing us anymore. Maybe you feel that way. Maybe yours is just you don't want to keep making those monthly payments anymore. Maybe you feel like you can't leave your job because you need your job to make payments. Maybe you feel like you can't move the area that you live in because you have to keep that job to keep the bills going, and it's not allowing you to move because jobs other places you want to move don't pay as well. I mean, it's just your why could be all kinds of stuff. I have people who are just very motivated to want to be good examples to their kids, and they want to be able to leave an inheritance not just to their kids but to their children's children, right? So why is very important. Our why was the amount of crushing debt that we had and how much it affected us. It was crushing. So anyways, after we had gone through bankruptcy, that had paid off, or it didn't pay off, but it got rid of the commercial lease that we were in, but we still had all of our other debt. All of our other debt was protected. Technically, the family loans that we had taken to start the business were not protected and should have been forgiven. However, if you want to maintain any relationship with anybody you know personally who you have borrowed money from, you have got to pay them back. So what we did is we got started. We got an emergency fund of $1,000. and then we got busy paying debt. Now, normally I would coach people to do the debt snowball, and that's paying off your lowest balance loan first, and ascending order. So lowest balance all the way to the highest balance, and put them in order. We did something different, actually. So the reason why we did it different is because my student loans broken up were actually technically several different loans put together, and that would have been where we would have started, honestly. However, we didn't want anything to go wrong with the family members that we had borrowed money from, because believe it or not, people get funny with money. It doesn't matter if they love you or not. Money affects things, and it can affect relationships. Matter of fact, I would argue it's extremely foolish and basically stupid to borrow money from family. I made that mistake. I don't recommend it. So we were motivated to pay them off. We didn't want them. We didn't want to feel weird around them. We didn't want to ruin any relationships. We didn't want anything to go sideways. We valued them, and we wanted to get them paid off. So we focused on those. We borrowed from 3 different family members. We paid them off one at a time. The way we did it was we did a zero-based budget. If you're not familiar with a zero-based budget, that's what I teach as a financial coach. Essentially what that means is you take your income minus your expenses, and hopefully you've got money left over. So if you've got money left over, what we're going to do is whatever that dollar amount is, we're going to take that dollar amount and we're going to assign it to either paying off a debt or going to a savings slash investment of some kind. It's going to go to one of those 2 things. So what we were doing is all the extra money we were making on top of, after our bills and stuff, was going towards debt. So we were paying off family as fast as we possibly could. And, as we started knocking those out, boy, it just felt so good, and it didn't feel weird to be around them anymore. It didn't feel like we owed them anything. We felt like we were individualistic again. It bought some freedom that we didn't know that we weren't experiencing. And so we did that. We also kept going with it right into the student loans, just started paying them off. I think altogether I had about eight loans, I think. So yeah, about 8 loans total for student loans. We ended up paying all of those off. Boy, it felt so good. We were working our tails off. It wasn't so much of like, we were getting multiple jobs. What we were doing though is we were saying no a lot. So we weren't by any means super wealthy. I think in the area that we make, we were just above average for the average household income, which is good, but at the same time, we both had college degrees, and we really weren't over the average income in our area. So it wasn't like we were making a ton of money, but we had to get really good at saying no, which stunk at the time. But now we get to say yes because we spent all those years saying no. And what I mean by saying no is we said no to eating out. We said no to going on vacations with people, even though we had a few things that we had to get done. And we said no to getting a car or paying for a car, or no to buying new TVs, buying new things. We just said no to it. We said no for a little over 2 years. And that was really a big key, is because we had to keep thinking about that why. Why do we want this? Do we want that experience of owing people stuff? Do we want that feeling of being uncomfortable around people? No, we didn't want any of that. So let me encourage you. Find out your why. Follow the baby steps. I encourage you to find a financial coach in your area, or you can contact me. It's up to you. I'm not pushing it on you, but I really advise it because had I known that they existed in our circumstance, I would have taken advantage of it, just because I didn't even know it was a profession. And so if you're not familiar with financial coaching, they're essentially like personal trainers, but instead of working on your body, they work on your finances, right? So personal trainer is probably the best way to get in the best shape. All of the celebrities, athletes, wealthy people, they use personal trainers because they're awesome. And not just wealthy people who want the most bang for their buck to work on their physical appearance are going to pay for a personal trainer. That's the way a financial coach is. I make custom tailored plans for people, help them get out of debt quickly. I help them build a budget. I walk them through all the different angles of personal finance that they need to be thinking about, like insurance, investments, whatever it might be, XYZ, kind of what their mindset needs to be. So I would have done that. I would be doing your zero-based budget like what I just talked about. If you're not familiar with that, we're going to be doing some content here on that. And then, again, just focusing on that why. What do we want? And then lastly, being good at saying no. Be good at saying no. I know it seems boring, but be boring for a little while so that you can be exciting for the rest of your life, right? So, guys, I hope that was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button. It really helps me out. Leave a comment. Do you do budget? I'm just curious. Do you do a budget? Do you stick to it? And then also, guys, if you want to be a part of the Mafia, you don't have to be debt-free. We just invite anybody who wants to, kind of have that mindset of we're going to live a debt-free lifestyle. We're going to build wealth. We're going to build wealth for good, not for selfishness. We're going to leave a legacy, not just for our children, but our children's children. We're going to live free. We're not going to live with any weights on our chest. We're not going to live with any chains that we're dragging along. If that's something that you feel like you want to be part of, hit the subscribe button. We're building a community here. It's going to be awesome. Guys, I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a really good day, and thanks for stopping by. Peace.